Google just dropped the newest Pixel lineup, the Pixel 11, Pixel 11 Pro, the Pro XL, and yeah, a new foldable too, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold. And I got to spend some time with all of them, so here's everything you need to know. First off, Google didn't really go crazy with the changes this year. Honestly, all the models look pretty similar, same size, similar design, just a few tiny tweaks here and there. Even the Fold is pretty much the same, it's only 10% lighter and 1mm thinner, and you know what? I actually don't mind it overall, especially with the slap phones. I mean, I'm a fan of that bar style camera look, but I get it, some people might be over it already since it's been almost 5 years with the same design. I mean, that said, they did clean up the camera bar this year across the whole lineup, including the Fold. It's now one smooth sheet of glass that just blends right into the metal frame, kind of like what they did with the Pixel 6 back in the day. Now the downside is that they did end up dropping the temperature sensor, which to be honest, I don't really use much. And in return, they added in a new RGB notification light called the Highlight. Think of it like those old school LED notification lights that we used to have when someone just texted you, but it's been modernized now. I mean, it's bigger, it has a full range of colors, and it only works when the phone's just lying flat on its back. And look, I do like it, but I think Google just limited its full potential. Like right now, you can only use it for your favorite contacts, just each with their own color, or when you trigger Gemini. It just glows showing that it's listening, but that's kind of it. There's no option to link it to app notifications, your charging status, or even a timer going off. Just simple stuff like that would have been so nice to have, but maybe, hey, just a quick software update could easily just fix that down the line. What can't be fixed is the hardware though. I mean, I do wish they was placed on the front. I would have just loved that. I mean, maybe around the camera hole punch, that would have been great since I don't always have my phone facing flat down on its face. Still, I appreciate them trying something new. Now the colors. The base Pixel 11 definitely has the most fun options out there. Purple, bright pinkish red, a nice green, and obsidian black. The bigger 11 Pro and Pro XL are just more muted, but they're still nice. You got light red, green, black, and light blue. And then the Fold, I think it's easily the most boring options, just black and green. If I had to pick one though, I'd go with the blue Flog model. I mean, that one just looks so clean. And don't worry, Pixel Snap is still here. Google's take on Apple's MagSafe, basically similar, same thing actually. And I'm honestly glad that it's still here. I mean, I used it all the time on my Pixel 10 while filming things or while I was working, just docking it on the stand or snapping it onto a MagSafe charger when I was on the go without a case needed. Now, as for the cameras, this is definitely where the Pixel 11s improve the most, especially on the software side. And all the Pixel 11s also have larger sensors to let in more lights and take better shots at night. And the Pro models can even now zoom up to 120x with super zoom, which is pretty crazy. And then in the software, Google once again introduced a few new clever camera tricks, which are really fun to use. For instance, there's now this new camera mode called Magic Capture. Basically, instead of trying to find the perfect time to snap a shot, Magic Capture does the work for you. Because once you start it, the Pixel will start to capture the entire moment instantly, and it'll record a video and also grab high quality photos for you at the same time. And then on top of that, it'll also automatically crop the photos and unblur them too and try to pick the best shots for you. I can definitely see this being amazing if you're at a game and you want to capture that perfect shot, or your kids are playing around and jumping in the pool. Anything where you'd normally just smash that shutter button 40 times in a row and hope that one of those pictures just looks good. Now you can just tap a single button and point the camera and let the phone figure out the best shots. I definitely need to test this more because the real question is how often will it actually give you a picture or a video that you'd actually want to keep? And then on top of that, there's also a brand new creator tab within the video settings that adds a bunch of new features to just help you make content. Like there's now a built-in teleprompter inside the camera, which is actually really amazing. So if you're filming a TikTok or even something quick for a school project, you can literally have your script sitting right over the viewfinder to just read it easily. There are also other tools in there as well, like you can trim clips, rearrange them as well in a timeline. You have speech enhancement, and it automatically saves clips into specific project albums too. Now, I don't think I'm gonna start filming my entire YouTube channel on a Pixel, but for quick content while traveling, I mean, yeah, I could definitely see myself using some of this. Google also added camera looks. It basically lets you create your own film style look and then shoot with that style already applied. So instead of taking a normal photo and then sitting there editing it afterward, you can kind of create your own signature look, like adjusting the shadows, contrast, etc., and just keep shooting with whatever you created. Now let's talk about the software. This is definitely where Google always does their best. Of course, these phones ship with the latest Android 17 update and still get 7 years of OS updates and security patches. And yeah, on top of that, they're always the first to receive the latest Android updates too, so that's always nice to have. But most of the new stuff this year just revolves around Gemini intelligence, and Google is really starting to blur the line between using AI as a separate app and having AI just baked into everything you're doing. For example, if someone texts you asking when you're free, the phone can surface your calendar availability, or on top of that, it can surface other suggested options. Gemini also has better task automation too, meaning it can do things for you like order groceries, book a ride, reorder something you'd normally buy, or book a trip. Voice typing has also gotten better too. It's got this new Rambler feature where it uses Gemini in the Gboard app, and you can talk to it normally and it'll give you a clean message in the end with improved punctuation and grammar. Just a lot of smart improvements like that across the board. I'll be sure to test them all once I get the actual phone in my hands, and trust me, I go super detailed with my 1-month phone reviews, so make sure to get subscribed so you don't miss out on that. Now, powering all these phones is Google's newest chipset called the Tensor G6. You remember that song from back in the day? And with this upgraded processor, Google says that the phones will be more power efficient, apps will open slightly faster, browsing will be faster as well, and the TPU has 50% more computing power for all these AI and camera features. But that doesn't mean that it'll be able to compete with the same speeds of the latest Galaxy or iPhone devices. Those chipsets that they have in those phones are just way faster and more powerful, especially for gaming. In my testing with past Pixel devices, when it comes to just everyday tasks, and especially with some AI features, the Tensor did a spectacular job just handling all that processing power. And I'm sure the Pixel 11 will be the same story. Just don't expect it to be like a gaming phone. Oh, and I'm also sad to say that the base Pixel 11 still doesn't have a vapor chamber, so I mean, it might get hotter like the other devices, while the Pro devices do still have that cooling vapor chamber. Now, the displays on the Pixels are also pretty much the same as before. Same size, resolution, refresh rate, and more. The only real change is that the Pro models and Foldable can get a bit brighter. Both the 11 Pro models and Foldable can now reach up to 3600 nits peak brightness instead of 3300 nits. And the Pro Fold also got slimmer bezels for a better screen to body ratio. For the battery, it's kind of weird. I mean, they have pretty much the same battery capacity as before, but with slight differences, like very slight. Like the Pixel 11 has 4,985 milliamp hours now, which is 15 milliamp hours more than last year's model. And then the Pro models both slightly dropped a few dozen milliamp hours of capacity when compared to its predecessor. And the Pro Fold got the biggest hit out of all the devices. And yeah, I do think it's kind of funny that the Pixel 11 is technically the only Pixel device this year that got a bump up in battery capacity, slightly. But obviously capacity isn't everything. The Pro has that more efficient LTPO screen, so we'll have to see what real world battery looks like in my full review. So again, get subscribed. If anything, I really just wish that they just would have switched over to a silicon carbon battery, just like every other phone out there. Even the latest Galaxy Foldables finally made the switch, and it really benefited them to just make the phone thinner and give it even more capacity. Now, as for the charging, it's still the same as before. The Pixel 11 and 11 Pro charge up to 30 watts, and then the 11 Pro XL can charge up to 45 watts. And then here's the sad part, the Fold can only charge up to 30 watts, which I think is kind of a crime for a phone that just costs almost $2,000. Luckily, all these phones support 25-watt wireless charging this time, where unlike before, out of all the slap phones, the Pixel Pro XL was the one that only supported it. As for the pricing, the base Pixel 11 is starting at $900, and then the 11 Pro is going for $1,100, and the Pro XL is $1,300. And then get this, the 11 Pro Fold is a whopping $1,900. Yeah, all starting at 256 gigabytes of storage with 12 gigabytes of RAM for the slap phones and 16 gigabytes base for the foldable. So they're all definitely not cheap, but still, with that said, I actually do like what Google did with the Pixel 11 series. I don't think this is one of those upgrades where you look at it and immediately go, oh my God, this is completely different. But the software improvements are incredible and very useful. The highlight seems like something I could definitely get behind too, to just help me use my phone less. All the new camera features that it comes with seemed very amazing, and it's still got that pixel snap, which pretty much no other Android phone has. But of course, those are only my first impressions. I still need to see how good the cameras are at night, whether the Tensor G6 is actually faster, how long those batteries really last, how useful highlight is after the honeymoon phase wears off, and whether all of these new AI features actually work the way that Google says they do. So I'll be putting all these phones through a ton of testing over the next few weeks, and I'll definitely let you guys know what I think in my full review. Anyways, tap this video right here to learn about every major new feature found within Android 17, the same software running on the new Pixel 11 series. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!